The year is 1558, and Elizabeth I has just succeeded her half-sister Mary as Queen of England at Buckingham Palace, approximately 100 miles southwest from Stratford-upon-Avon, where Shakespeare was born. Her reign would stretch from 1558 to 1603, during which she would have many accomplishments both politically and militarily, including her famous defeat of the Spanish Armada and improvements in illiteracy rates and championing the poor. One of Queen Elizabeth's first military obstacles to overcome was winning the English-Irish War, also known as the Desmond Rebellions. The first of these rebellions took place from 1569 to 1573, and it was mostly based upon religious difference and territorial conflict in a place called Munster. Following the English-Irish War, Queen Elizabeth would have to direct her attention to the English Channel, where 132 Spanish Armada ships were waiting to attack England. With the assistance of Francis Drake, Lord Howard of Effingham, and Sir John Hawkins, the Armada would be defeated in 1588. This battle would have been fought over, again, religious differences between Protestant England and Catholic Spain, and the war with Spain would officially end in 1603 with the succession of James I. In 1594, Queen Elizabeth faced another challenge when she had to silence the Tyrone Rebellions, also known as the 9 Years' War. The war was fought in Northern Ireland in a province known as Ulster, and was not only fought over religious differences between Protestant England and Catholic Ireland, but also over excessive English influence within the province of Ulster. This war was finally ended again in 1603 with the succession of James I. Some weapons you might have seen on an Elizabethan battlefield are the crossbow, the longbow, the longsword, a mace, dagger, axe, or spear. Being a champion of the poor, Queen Elizabeth enacted a series of poor laws, the first of which being passed in 1552, which required parishes to take a census of the poor within their community. The Second Poor Act would be passed in 1563 and would divide the poor into 3 sections. The first section would be the deserving poor, who would receive what would become known as outdoor relief, or money, clothes, and food. The second would be the deserving unemployed, those who are willing to work but cannot find work, and they would receive indoor assistance such as care in almshouses. Finally, the undeserving poor. These undeserving poor would be deemed this because of criminal records. The rest of the Poor Acts were all passed to assist the enforcement of poor reform. In 1572, the alleviation of the local poor population was a task charged per parish. In 1576, each town was then thereafter required to provide work for the unemployed in poorhouses. In 1597, an overseer of the poor position was created. His task would be to calculate the poor rate, or tax to assist the poor, collect said poor rate from the property owners, and dispense money, clothes, and food to the poor. He would also supervise the poorhouse. In 1601, national intervention was then granted to enforce the new poor laws. Punishment for crimes such as not paying your poor rate during the Elizabethan era varied depending on what social class you were in. If you were of the nobility, the punishment for your crime was typically torture, followed by a hanging thereafter if you were proven guilty, which was nearly inevitable due to the times. Typical crimes for the nobility consisted of murder, blasphemy, high treason, and witchcraft. Common crimes among the common people of England were theft, begging, poaching, adultery, and dice rigging. They were all commonly met with the same gruesome fate as the crimes committed by the nobility. In the Elizabethan era, politics were largely based upon religion. Not only was England torn between Protestant and Catholic, but all of Europe was torn between these two religions. It was the cause of many wars, and it was also the cause of the Act of Supremacy in which Elizabeth was established as the leader of the Church of England. Also playing a large role in politics during the Elizabethan era was social class. With much of the population of Europe diminished due to the bubonic plague, and a wealthy merchant class emerging after the reign of Henry VIII, it was essential to be able to distinguish the peasants from the nobility. Elizabeth did so with the passing of the sumptuary laws, which basically applied a dress code due to your social class. In conclusion, Queen Elizabeth was a fantastic leader to her subjects. She was praised for her intelligence and patience in matters of politics. As a champion of the poor, as a good speaker, and as a supporter of the arts, she was loved amongst her subjects. Military victories and smart politics during the Elizabethan era would set Britain up to be the dominating world power.